and we're going to jump into it. We're going to have Q&As through the whole live stream process, and if you watch this later on, it'll be for the podcast. We're going to discuss some of the updates in the upcoming vehicles for 2026. Sorry, the camera's moving around. I'm actually in a vehicle right now. And we're going to also, hopefully you guys can still hear me. There we go. We're gonna also touch basis on when is a good time to purchase a new vehicle for 2025 or 2026 variants. Don't forget to subscribe, check out the membership page, and we're gonna just kind of dive in. So starting off with the updates for the 2026 variants, not really a lot going on with BMW. It's all gonna be for 2027. The 2026, we just did the 550e, so that was literally more or less a carryover because they just came out with it last year. The review's going to be coming to the channel soon. But what I liked about it is you got almost 70 MPGEs combined, which is pretty freaking crazy when you're considering vehicle. I think it was just under 90 grand, the one that we reviewed. And but the unfortunate part with it is when you just use the gas variant, you're getting like 25 MPGs. So it's not really that good in that category. But what I also liked about it was the performance. I mean, it was around 4.1 seconds, 0 to 60, but it wasn't just the speed. When you use the boost, you're getting a ton of power, and I believe it's around 108 horsepower more than the 540. It doesn't replace the M550i, but at least we're getting something that's a little bit more comparable to something like that, and it's a PHEV. So for those that like PHEVs, it's a great vehicle to entertain. Audi is going kind of crazy, which everybody already knows with their updates. Some of it is going to be for 2025 and a half, and some of it's going to be pushed for 2026, like the Q9, which is going to have the same layout pretty much as all the Audis. So not a huge fan of that tech forward look, and also the rocker to put it into gear. Hopefully they'll change it up a little bit for the SQs or the RS, which there's nothing confirmed for an RS for that variant, but at least we'll have an SQ9, which will be awesome. They're going to be keeping the V8s alive, but it's kind of up in the air also with that, because one minute they're saying they're going to do a 6-cylinder, and now they're saying they're going to do a twin turbo V8s for like the RS7 and the RS6. So it could be a V8 and it could be a 6-cylinder. Nothing is really 100% confirmed with the engine spec, and even with the horsepower and torque, that should be something that is going to be a huge increase, because obviously they're going against BMW's M5, that's a PHEV. As for Mercedes, the C63, it's still rumor that it could be a 6 or a V8. Not 100% yet with that. As soon as we find out, we will definitely put it on the channel so you guys can know. But the CLE 63 is confirmed for the upcoming year. Hello. Hey, James, how are you? So I'm kind of happy that Mercedes is going that route. So we're going to actually have some performance back with the bi-turbo V8s. But again, for the C63, hopefully we'll know something in the next few weeks, whether they're going 6 or 8. But more or less, it is confirmed that they're not going to be doing a 4-cylinder with all the extra work that they did to get that power. It's a great vehicle. It's a PHEV. It's just not the same as the bi-turbo V8 that we lost. As for going back to Audi, with the updates for the MMI system, they still haven't done any changes with the confirmation, meaning where you put the technology package for the back seats. So hopefully that will be upgraded and taken care of within the next few months before they start coming out with that. Time for buying vehicles, I would recommend you start shopping now. It usually takes me at least a month, sometimes 2 months to even 6 months before I purchase my own vehicle. And the reason why I do that is because even carrying over to the next month, most of the time, the interest rates will either be better or they'll still match it, and then they'll just post-date it as if you bought it the month prior, even though you bought it the next month. So even though your car payment may start 2 weeks earlier, it really doesn't matter at that point because you still got a tremendous deal. Most of the deals are going to start trickling in the next, I would say, month and a half. But realistically, the best deals are going to start coming in to play around November, especially for interest rates and for discounts. Already GMC is doing about 20% off of most of their vehicles. So just something to take in consideration if that's what you are looking for, especially with BMW, because a lot of their variants are getting full updates for like the X5, the X7. The X7 you're going to be all right with because it's not going to be full like electrified style. It's still going to keep a lot of the similarity to the X7 that we have now. And the X6 is looked to be for the 2028. So you still have a couple of years for that one. It's going to be on the same clear platform as the X5. So it's going to have that smaller, I don't know if you would call it sleek for the kidney grille, but the headlights are going to be long in the width and it's short in the height, and then the lower bumper is going to be the aggressive part for the front fascia. It's going to probably mimic the same thing because it's the same platform. The exterior for the rear, I think, is going to look a lot more aggressive, especially from the spy photos that we've seen. The interior, they are going to be implementing finally the heads-up display that covers from door panel to door panel, so the whole lower windscreen or windshield, and it's going to raise up about 10 inches. So that's going to be pretty cool. I like that a little bit more so than all the screen configurations, but I'm just kind of confused how it's going to look in the interior, especially behind the driver or passenger seat. Are they going to make it where you can't see the passenger side, or is it going to just kind of wrap around kind of like the hyper screen like Mercedes does with their inbox setup? So kind of interested to see how it actually comes out. And there hasn't been really a lot of spy photos to really illustrate how it looks 100% in the interior. So these are still kind of things up in the air, but they've been talking about that heads-up display for well over a year now. I remember when I first started live streams talking about how they're going to implement a heads-up display that covers the whole lower part of the front windshield. So at least we're getting some technology there. They have discontinued the gesture control when it comes to the 26 variants. So if that's something that you like, you may want to look at some 25s that are still kind of on the lot. My brother just picked up a M4 competition coupe X-Drive, which it doesn't have the gesture control, and he was complaining about it. He actually almost didn't buy the vehicle because he said he really likes the gesture control because when you're using it for your sound system or anything for the infotainment screen, it's just easy because you just kind of roll your finger or whatever. They don't have that anymore. The one thing that they have implemented for 26 for the BMWs that is a change is when you're using the adaptive cruise control lane keep assist now for the M4s at least, the AR will populate only on the gauge cluster when it's showing an indication for changing lanes or signals. So if it says like you got 0.5 miles left and you got to make a left, it'll show you the AR on the gauge cluster with a signal indicating to the left. That's pretty much all it does. And then it goes back to the digital where you'll see kind of like a Tesla screen in the gauge cluster. As for the QX60, one thing that irritates me is 25. They took a lot of safety features away, which I'll go more in depth into with the review for R25 variant that we purchased. There's no more tension for the seatbelt. So you put the seatbelt and there's no tension anymore. So for people that are familiar with that, the tension means like when you lock it, you'll kind of index. It doesn't do that anymore. So sorry, UPS. Quiet. I have a couple of chows, so they like to make some noise, and I don't know why they were doing that. Quiet. Good boys. And the only time that it indexes now is if you are in an accident situation, and it's not going to index only unless the airbags are deployed. And bad dog. Bad dog. They don't like me to say that. Sit. At least you know they know my commands. Check this out. Sit. Sit. Down. Down. Luna, sit. Sit. Down. Down. I trained them pretty well. So with that, they've taken away the safety settings. When you're doing the lane keeping assist, it only works now when you are on the adaptive cruise control. Otherwise, the steering wheel will vibrate on the new QX60s, which If you have a 24 and under, that feature works whether you have the cruise control set or not. But now it's only working through the cruise control. And then the plastics that they've added on the steering column, and also there was some other things that they went cheap on, which again, I'll indicate all those things on the review. Just kind of irritating because now what everyone is noticing with these vehicles is literally a lot of plastic aesthetics and just screens. Even going into Porsche, they're doing the same thing. The whole dashboard is literally just simplified with screens, and then you still have the area in the center cluster where there's like 1,000 buttons for the climate control. So they're not really doing a minimalistic look. I feel like the only one that kind of knocks it out of the park would be Range Rover, because it's still minimalistic. It's a screen, but there's not a lot going on in the actual dashboard. I think looks a little bit better. I don't like the gauge cluster in it, and I don't like the Piffy Pro because it's just very slow. They haven't done anything to really update that either. As for other updates in the auto industry, the interest rates, I have been seeing them dropping. So if you are looking to do a 60, 72 month or 84 month loan, I just heard for BMW, I think they're doing like 5% for an 84-month loan, which most of their vehicles are starting to go into the $100,000 price. And if you're looking at something a little bit less expensive, maybe something like a Honda, Toyota, they're doing 1% and 2%. So it is something that you could still probably get those interest rates towards the end of the year. So you don't have to just jump out and buy them now. Just something to take in consideration. We just released the ADX, which was Acura's new vehicle. James was looking for it. I went 3 or 4 times and finally got one. And we got the A-Spec variant. If you didn't check it out, watch it on the channel. I do a pretty extensive details on what you're getting. But one thing that I really liked about it is it's literally everything we needed for the HRV, but it's on the Acura side. The only thing that I dislike is it's a CVT transmission. I mean, let me know what you guys think about that stuff, because with these CVTs, they're just not really known to last. You have to do a lot more services on the vehicles, and at that point, I just don't feel like paying $30,000, $40,000 for something. It just doesn't make sense. You want something that's gonna last. If you're gonna do that, you might as well spend a little bit less money, maybe go into like a Chevy or just get like the cheaper variant. Instead of going Acura, go Honda. Because if you're only spending $20,000 to $30,000, you get that pre-owned. Now you could possibly get it under 20 grand. Nissan is going through some crazy stuff as well right now. You can get a lot of deals, especially if you're looking for like the new Murano or the new Kicks. I've seen in some cases you can get them under 20 grand on the Kicks, which is by far an awesome deal if you're looking for something a little bit smaller. In the Murano, they're doing some pretty hefty discounts on those too, because the actual Nissan's giving the dealerships discounts to buy them, and then those discounts further on to the buyer of the vehicle. And it's an awesome car. It does have the VC turbocharged 4-cylinder, but now it's a 9-speed automatic transmission, and it literally has more features than a QX60 2025 variant. Now the 2026, the only major difference is they implemented the Google updates for the infotainment screen. The speakers are now through Klipsch instead of Bose. The sound system was okay. I still prefer the Bose. The Bose is 17 speakers. The Klipsch, I think, is like 19 speakers. So that also tells you right there that you have to have more speakers to have similar sound. I mean, I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. I feel like the Bose sound systems are pretty good. I like the B&Os. They're not too bad either. But overall sound, I found that the Bose are the more sought-off ones to go to. Cadillac, it's not like a confirmed thing. I've been looking through. There's some talks online about the new XLR. I don't know if you guys are not familiar with it. It's a 2-seat hardtop convertible that was released back in 2020 or 2004 that replaced the Alante that was maybe 10-ish years before that. And all those vehicles were just way above or ahead of time. And even the XLR, it had a North Star engine. It should have probably had the Corvette engine in it, but it did not. and that North Star engine was just prone to leaks. The automatic transmission was bulletproof. It was an 8-speed, just a slow variant vehicle, just really a cruiser. The new one, there's some talks about them coming out with it that would have the 6.2 liter, which I think would be awesome if they did come out with that. But again, these are just talks right now because, as we all know, Cadillac is going all electrified more or less. There is some talks with the electric vehicles going to PHEV. Maserati has also implemented some things with their new CEO that they're going to be considering PHEVs. So they will be, it's not confirmed yet, but the Levante and the Quattroporte. Hey, Tisha, how are you? Those vehicles could be, the Quattroporte more than likely is going to have a PHEV. The MC20, they changed the name of it, and they did a light refresh for the bumpers and the interior of the seats and just a few little things. It's just cosmetics, but they may implement a manual transmission. These are all things that Stellantis thinks that people are wanting. The PHEV going for the Levante, I think that would be good, especially considering, if you remember the Levante, if you get the Modena S, that's a Ferrari California engine more or less, and it's 120 grand. If you go Porsche Cayenne GTS, you're like 180 grand, and the Levante's faster. So if they did a PHEV, I think it would be something that could possibly make the brand come back alive a little bit, especially because the Levante is scheduled to go full EV around 2028 now, which through the grapevine, they are going to be coming back with the Levante, and the Ghibli, supposedly they're going to be making some variants. I haven't seen any in the dealerships yet. So again, these are just talks through some of my teams that have been saying this is what's going to happen. But the PHEV was talks about it through the CEO. Also, the TLX, my team was telling me a few weeks back that they were discontinuing it. So again, whenever most of my teams talk about these things, some of the things come true, and unfortunately, when they come true, it kind of sucks, because then for like Acura's case, I mean, what are we going to have? Basically all SUVs. It's going to be doing similar to the Buick, where they just went all SUVs. I like that Buick at least still has gas variants, and that they're not doing everything like EVs like Cadillac, because I really do like some of the Cadillac variants that are EVs. But at least if they had a ICE variant, I think that's where I would go with it, because actually, an example today, I was driving to Brandon, which is probably about 45 minutes from where I live, and we took a different exit. So I took a detour, and instead of waiting at a red light, I said, you know what, I'll just go ahead and pump gas, because gas only takes 5 minutes to pump. I pumped back on the road within 5-6 minutes, didn't really lose time. You can't do that with an EV. And even when we went to Brandon, we ended up going downtown, and the EV charging is literally in the downtown mall area. So I was like, well, right here is the, the America supercharger, and not supercharger, but the charging ports for it. If you have to stop there, there was accident on both ends, which is why I kind of came a couple seconds late to the live stream today. Imagine if I had an EV. I would literally be stuck there till probably 6-7 o'clock, because I would have just finished charging and now I'm back onto the road. So these are why I'm not all gun-ho about it. But if you are looking for an EV, Mazda is doing, I think it's like 15 grand for their EV CX-30, which I am actually considering something like that, because $15,000 for a brand new vehicle, 3-year, 36,000 miles, I mean, that's a freaking deal. Now, I'm not going to get the tax credit, because obviously it goes by your tax bracket, and I've actually used all my tax stuff that I could possibly use, because we purchased vehicles, and that's going to be our tax write-offs. But if you have the tax write-off of $7,500 and you buy this car for 15 grand or 13 grand, I mean, you get in the damn thing $5,000-$6,000. It's a no-brainer. I would do it all day long, and Mazda makes an awesome vehicle. The CX-50, the CX-5, I'm excited. Like I say, every single live stream, as soon as they come out, we're going to bring them to the channel. I just got word on the Palisade, so we should be getting that into the channel in the next few weeks, hopefully sooner, maybe in the next week. It's gonna, I mean, everyone knows the way they look. Boxy on the exterior. Same thing with the Telluride. They're doing the same style. Some are saying that it looks kind of like a Rolls Royce on the side. I don't really see that, but I see the boxy look. It's basically the future of all these SUVs. So I'm happy with the way that they're going, and they're still keeping gas variants alive, so you can still get an ICE vehicle and you don't have to go full EV. So I like that. And a lot of companies are starting to incorporate that too. Any questions and answers, guys, just feel free. I'm just, going through all the different news at the time. Also, the one thing to put into perspective, if you are looking for a new vehicle, try to get your service plans in the deal. So most companies are doing 2 or 3 years of service for free. That's through the companies. That's not through the dealerships. Dealerships will also give you those same things. So you could probably double down on that, especially if the car's been on the lot for a little while, because a lot of these vehicles are starting to go 2-3 months on the lot. And then the new RAV4, it should be on the lots in the next few days to few weeks. So if that's something that you are considering to get, it's definitely something that I think they did an excellent job on the TRD variant, because it by far beats everybody in class, especially with towing capabilities, payload, and the only thing I believe was ground clearance. It's not the best, but I mean, everybody knows with Toyota. I'm not a huge fan with the infotainment screen in the interior, because it just looks like an afterthought. It literally just stands out of the dashboard. And if you're looking at a Corolla, the 2027 variant is basically when we're going to be getting the refresh for that, which I think it looks sporty enough. I like that they're keeping the hatchback alive, and also with the new Supra, they have confirmed more or less that they are not doing anything with BMW. It's going to be full Toyota. So I'm kind of interested to see how the price is going to come out, because Toyota has said multiple times that they're not going to increase the price. Well, if they're doing everything in-house, then it should be cheaper. I mean, that would be awesome if it is. I'm going to kind of miss some of the BMW components, but at least Toyota is going to their heritage, and they're expressing that it should have a ton of horsepower. It's supposed to be faster. I'm kind of excited to see what actually comes out with it. As for Mazda, the Miata or the MX-5, they're probably going to be mixing it more or less with Toyota a little bit, I would imagine, because there has been a lot of talks with them. But in the same aspect, I like how Mazda is doing a lot of stuff in-house too. So a lot of these updates, I'm kind of, not to say proud, but I like that the auto industry is now doing things from their own company instead of doing everything with like 2 and 3 different companies. Because already when you buy a GMC, for instance, if you go GMC, you go Buick, you go Cadillac, you're going to see a lot of the similarities, and I get it. They're the same companies. But I want things to be a little bit different, because when I go into Cadillac variants, typically I'm already at an 80 grand to over $100,000 price. I really don't want to see a GMC product or their same charms. It should be different. I get it for like Nissan and Infiniti. Even Toyota and Lexus, they're kind of closer in price point. But I mean, GMC to Cadillac, night and day difference. If you go Tahoe, you can get them under 100 grand. You go Escalade, I mean, you're looking like 130 to 180 grand now. That is a huge difference. So they should change a few things just to make it more so for themselves. That's all I'm saying with that. And we did the new AT4 Terrain this week, which I actually liked it. I thought it was good. They don't increase anything with towing or payload. It's the same engine, but they do increase the ground clearance. You get about almost an inch more. And for the pricing, I believe that one was like right in the 40 or right at $40,000. It was a pretty good value. I mean, a turbo 4 engine, it had enough power for it. We show some of the lag whenever you're around 30, 40 miles per hour, but that's to be expected. They didn't do anything there. You have plenty of cargo capacity, and the seats were actually comfortable, and the suspension too. So it's something to look as a competition against the RAV4 TRD, because when you go there, they're usually more firm. You hear a lot more road noise. This is a little bit more quiet. It still did have a significant amount of road noise, but it wasn't it wasn't because of the all-terrain tires. So I thought that was pretty good with that. And we also did the EV Hummer truck, which was crazy. The same thing with the SUV. I mean, your 0 to 60 is like 3 seconds flat. It's insane. We'll have a reels or a shorts to show you the 0 to 60 on that. The interior itself, it just echoes. It's very similar to Tesla. We did do the crab walk and the Super Cruise. The Super Cruise, though, was awesome. You use your indicators and it turns into the lane that you indicate. And then when you put the indicator on, it'll turn back. I haven't been able to make that feature work with BMW, even though they say that it does. It's supposed to read your eyes with it, which I usually wear sunglasses, so that's another reason why. And now with the new filming that we do, the camera is actually like right in front of me, so you literally see a POV drive of the vehicle. And we're doing some new things with the editing where it just looks a lot more realistic. So I'm pretty happy with that. We're buying different clips. That way it feels like you're there on the review. And hopefully whenever you guys see these new reviews that's coming out sporadically through the next weeks and days, just let me know what you guys think, because we put a lot of time into it and we've done a lot of different ways to make the actual camera work, because literally the camera's in my face. So it's like this when I'm driving now. Therefore, it's a little bit harder to use some of the features. We have to typically use the features with different cameras, so it does take a little bit more work to show them. But again, I really want to stress all of the features of the vehicle, and that's what we're doing in all of the reviews. We did the new Encore GX Avenir. Great pricing. A lot of people are kind of skeptical about the Buicks, but I think they do a great job. They kind of slot right into that premium field. But when you go GX, or when you go Encore GX, opposed to going into like the Enclave, the premium materials is a complete night and day difference. I would say go to Mazda. You're going to be a little bit more happy, especially with like the CX-50. And if you want like that off-roadsy, you just go into the Meridian Edition. Plus you get the turbocharged, which it's just a lot more power. That's what Mazda does. So you just get a little bit more bang for your buck, and it's more premium material, so softer, the seating and everything. Some of the updates for Mazda, though, not a huge fan, which we discussed last live stream, where you're going to have to do everything through the touch screen, especially for the new CX-5. That's basically what they're doing. So the tablet design, I don't know. I think that it's going to get old quick. All these screen configurations, especially doing everything through them. I also show on the Terrain AT4, it literally is like 4 or 5 pages just to turn your lights on and off. I mean, a simple switch makes it a lot more easy, and GMC usually does that. So I don't know. I feel like they're going the wrong direction with some of the technology because it's just too much. Now, if it's voice recognition, it's okay because it's all Google based. Then you could theoretically say, Google, turn my lights on, similar to like Amazon at your house or Alexa at your house. But most of the time, it's not going to be that intuitive, because even when I use the natural sounds or natural voices, it takes a little bit of time for that stuff to actually work, especially when it goes to BMW, Acura. Mercedes is pretty decent with it, but with their stuff, I mean, I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of all this. It takes away from the drive of the vehicle. Most of my vehicles are a little bit older in the technology, so what I mean by that is like, it has the navigation, it can do the Apple CarPlay, but that's pretty much it. You still have physical buttons for the climate control, you still have physical buttons for your lighting, and to turn the auto start stop off. Unfortunately, on one of my vehicles, you got to go through 5 different pages, which is absolutely ridiculous. One thing that BMW does on some models is they have a button. On others, you have to go through 3 different pages in order to turn it off in through the infotainment screen. And also, Alex let me know, which I already talked about it maybe a year-ish or 6 months or so ago, with the infotainment screens with BMW. They are very expensive, so if you have any problems with them, I mean, if they're under warranty, it's not a big deal, but they're typically about $6,000 to $7,000 to fix it, because it's a huge panel screen, and just it's one of those things that goes bad. And I did touch bases with it a little bit with Audi last week, where there was a screen that went bad on the gauge cluster and it just shows like a whole bunch of pixels. It just looks awful. I did want to show you guys some things that we did for improvements on the garage. So that way, if it's something that you guys are considering to do, you can do that. And one of those things that I did was add insulation, and it actually lowered the heat in my garage. Lately in Florida, it's been about 110 to 115 degrees. There's my old Cadillac XLR grill. We changed it to the V-Series grill. What I usually do is I put tags up of all the vehicles that we buy, and I got a key box, so a little bit of a cool thing. So I added these pieces that cool the garage to your door. And it's just literally styrofoam. You cut it yourself. They're actually already cut to measure on the length. So the length was perfectly fine. The width was fine, the length wasn't. So all I had to do was cut the width part of it, which isn't very difficult. You take a tape measure and you slide it in between. And just this alone has literally cut my heat in the garage about 30 degrees. I'm thinking about adding a AC unit as well, but you know, that's something. I think I only paid maybe $70 for all this. So if you're trying to cool your garage down, that's something. Right here's the panels actually. So they come like this and they fit literally in between the gauges, and you just have to cut the width, like I said. A lot of people were asking about the MC20 Cello, so I figured I would show it this time. Don't really drive it too much, 2 miles is all we have. And then the Ghibli, which we just hit 6,700-ish miles, and the new QX60 that we purchased, we're almost at 2,000 miles. So to show you guys some of the interior, because I don't think maybe you missed the review, but unfortunately with these 3-car garage, I mean, look how close it is. It's literally so tight I could barely open the door. I mean, sorry, I don't use my phone whenever I do camera shots. I actually use a camera, so it's a little bit different for me. But we have the sports seats at the car interior package. The only difference for the 26 variant is the vents there and the seat here. The interior part is going to be the same design. The wheel design, I added 6 different wheels. The exterior part of the lower bit here in the diffuser, they changed this. It's now a gloss black instead of a matte black. The front, they changed the grille design, so they made this grille part here a little different, so it changes that area there, but it's the same opening size. If you're wondering why the front is open, it's because I use a trickle charger because we don't drive it so much. So when you do a trickle charger, sorry to do this, just trying to show you what it is. If you are looking at any of these supercars, these trickle chargers you have to install. So you see how it's actually installed in the vehicle, and then I just kind of leave it here and plug it up. So it's almost like it's a hybrid. It's not a hybrid, but usually it costs about $1,000. I was very blessed. I got it for, I think we paid $250, so it wasn't bad. Hold on one second. You're gonna hear a beep. That's because we have the trickle charger on. And for the Ghibli, we actually ordered this particular vehicle, so we got it all sport derived. I'm gonna have a review on it because it just hit 10 years. So we have the upgraded 21-inch wheels. It's a staggered wheel setup. I do my own brakes and rotors. They're Brembo brakes, 6 pistons in the front. The rotors are vented, slotted. So this is full track performance. We also got the track suspension, and I just changed the control arms. The interior is the Cognac, but they don't call it Cognac. That's a BMW terminology. And we have the piano black with the full leather package for the interior, so everything inside is leather. And as for the Infiniti, if you guys didn't see the review, well, I haven't actually posted the review yet, so we have the light package, so you get this lit up. I didn't do a chrome delete here because I, for some reason, thought that the light would be in the interior of it, not all around it. So I'm a little disappointed that I didn't do a chrome delete, but we did that for the rest of the vehicle. We did 22-inch wheels, and we powder coated the calipers. These are all new as well. And then the lower bit, we got the chrome delete, as well as the chrome delete over the whole side. Rizwana is debating, she wants to do, we also did the badges, which the badges, they don't actually have badges in stock because Nissan's going through some crazy stuff. So we did a some kind of spray paint there. We were able to source this, and this I had to source from a different company, but it looks very similar, so that's why I did what I did. The reason why I was showing these things is if you are looking to do like a powder coat or a chrome delete, you don't necessarily have to buy all the badges from the company. You could buy them from other companies as long as they look similar, and nobody's going to tell the difference, especially with like an all-wheel drive. That's pretty much what we did there. But if you are looking for Nissan products or Infiniti products, it's very hard to get anything aftermarket or not aftermarket. It's very hard to actually get the product. Aftermarket parts, I tried through Z Performance. They don't sell anything unless it's like an older Infiniti. And unfortunately,